What Japanese parents do in the first 10 minutes after their baby cries doesn't look like most guides you've read. Picture this: it's 2 a.m. A mother in Osaka hears her baby stir. Not scream yet, just that first small whimper, the warning sound every parent knows. In most homes, this is the moment of scramble. Lights flick on. Voices rise in pitch. Someone rushes in, already anxious before they even reach the crib. But in this home, nothing happens. Not yet. The mother waits. She listens. And what happens in those next 10 minutes shapes something researchers say most parents never even think about. Here's the promise: by the end of this video, you'll know the 3 things Japanese parents do differently in that first crucial window after a cry, habits you could start using tonight. And before you think this is some cultural quirk that only works with a certain temperament of baby, consider this: a widely cited comparative study on infant soothing found Japanese infants show measurably longer stretches of calm, self-settled sleep by 6 months than their Western counterparts. That's not luck. That's a method. Developmental psychologists have a term for what's really going on here, borrowed from attachment research and refined by generations of Japanese caregiving. They call it the art of the deliberate pause. It's not neglect. It's not letting a baby cry it out. It's something far more precise. A caregiver who is fully present, fully attuned, but who resists the urge to instantly intervene because they understand something most sleep-deprived parents in a panic don't have time to consider. Not every cry is a 5-alarm fire, and rushing in too fast can actually teach a baby the opposite of what you want. The first pillar is what we'll call the listening window. Most Western parenting advice treats every cry as an emergency to be silenced as fast as humanly possible. The moment sound breaks the silence, hands are already reaching into the crib. But Japanese caregivers are trained, often without ever using this language, to spend the first 30 to 60 seconds simply listening. Is this a hunger cry? A discomfort cry? Or just the sound of a baby cycling through a sleep transition, about to settle on their own? Here's the mechanism behind it. Newborns cycle through active and quiet sleep in short bursts, and a whimper during that transition is often just noise, not distress. Attachment researchers have long shown that infants who are given a brief window to self-regulate before intervention actually build stronger internal calming mechanisms over time. The nervous system learns, I can find my way back to calm. That's not something you can rush into existence, it has to be practiced, night after night, in small moments exactly like this one. But here's the failure loop most parents fall into: the second a whimper starts, they leap. It feels right, it feels like love, like vigilance. But what it actually teaches, over months, is that a baby cannot recover without external rescue every single time. The parent isn't wrong to care. They're just answering a question the baby wasn't fully asking yet. The reframe: the fastest response isn't always the most loving one, sometimes love looks like listening first. The second pillar is what we'll call the warm hands rule. Once a Japanese caregiver decides the cry does need a response, what happens next isn't a scoop and shush reflex. It's slower, more deliberate. Hands come to rest gently on the baby's chest or back before any lifting happens, a few seconds of stillness, weight, and warmth transmitted through touch alone, before the baby is ever picked up. Contrast this with what most exhausted parents do. Baby cries, baby gets lifted, often mid-cry, often with the parent's own body tense and hurried. It feels instinctive: get them up, get them soothed, fast. But here's the mechanism researchers point to: infants are exquisitely sensitive to the nervous system state of the person holding them. If a parent's own heart rate is elevated, their breathing shallow and quick from stress, the baby's body picks up on that arousal before a single word is spoken. You can't outshush a nervous system that's broadcasting panic. The warm hands rule works because it does 2 things at once. It signals safety through steady, grounded touch before movement ever begins, which gives the baby's own nervous system a chance to sync with a calm one instead of an anxious one. And it forces the caregiver to physically slow their own breathing and heart rate in those few seconds of contact, which means by the time baby is lifted, the person holding them is actually calm, not just pretending to be. The failure loop here is subtle but powerful. A parent who rushes the pickup is often unconsciously soothing their own anxiety, not the baby's. It feels productive. It feels like action. But a baby lifted into tense arms often cries harder, which convinces the parent they need to move even faster next time, an escalating spiral where everyone ends up more wound up, not less. The reframe: your baby isn't just listening to your voice, they're reading your body. Calm your hands, and you calm the cry. The third pillar is what we'll call naming the feeling. Once the baby is settled in arms, Japanese caregivers do something many Western parents skip entirely in the heat of the moment: they narrate. Softly, simply, "You're hungry, aren't you?" That's uncomfortable. "I'm here." Not baby talk. Not shushing sounds alone. Actual words, spoken calmly, naming what the caregiver believes the baby is experiencing. This might sound small, but developmental researchers studying early language and emotional regulation have found something remarkable. Infants who are regularly spoken to this way, feelings named aloud, even before they can understand a single word, show earlier gains in emotional vocabulary and self-regulation once verbal skills emerge. The brain is quietly building a map, long before it can speak the language back. Contrast this with the instinct most parents fall into: pure sound-based soothing, shushing, rocking, humming, with no words at all, because words feel useless to a baby who can't understand them yet. It feels efficient. Why waste breath explaining hunger to someone who doesn't know what the word means? But here's the mechanism: babies aren't decoding vocabulary. They're absorbing tone, rhythm, and the simple experience of being seen and described accurately. Neuroscientists studying early attachment call this contingent responsiveness. When a caregiver's words and actions match what the baby is actually feeling, it builds the earliest foundation of emotional trust. The baby doesn't understand hungry, but they understand being met, not just managed. The failure loop: a baby soothed only through sound and motion, with no accompanying language, still calms down in the moment, so the parent sees it working and never adds the words back in. But over months, that's a missed window. The baby is calmed, but never taught that their internal state has a name, a shape, a reason. That layer of understanding gets delayed, not because the parent did anything wrong, but because it never occurred to them it was missing. The reframe: you don't need your baby to understand your words today, you need them to feel understood. So here's what it comes down to: the listening window, the warm hands rule, naming the feeling. 3 small shifts, and none of them require a different baby, a different culture, or a different life. They just require a different first 10 minutes. These aren't Japanese secrets. They're not gatekept by geography. They're simply habits available to any parent willing to slow down by even 30 seconds tonight. So here's your one small step. Tonight, the next time your baby cries, try just one of these: pause, listen, and notice what you learn in those first 10 seconds before you move. If this helped you see crying a little differently, send it to a parent who needs to hear it tonight. And if you want more of these small shifts that change everything, subscribe, because next time, we're looking at the one thing Korean parents do differently at mealtime that most Western parents get completely backwards. Until then, go gently. Your baby's already listening.